These are the Section 7 notes, and we're going to start talking about multiplying polynomials. In Section 7.6, we learned how to take one monomial and multiply it by a polynomial by distributing that monomial to each part of the polynomial. Now we're going to take two polynomials and multiply them together. If you take a look down here, you can see I have a polynomial because it has two terms, and another one that has another two terms. I'm going to learn how to multiply those together. Essentially, it's the same thing. We just have to distribute each piece to each other. So what that means is I'm going to distribute this to both of these. Then I also have to distribute this to both of these. And it seems a little bit tricky, but there's a shortcut, or not necessarily a shortcut, but an easy way to remember it, and it's called FOIL. Now, that only applies for when you are taking two binomials, so two polynomials with two terms, and multiplying them together. But it's the same concept when we get into bigger terms. If you have your textbooks, they should be open to page 447. And they give you several different methods for multiplying these. FOIL is the easiest one to remember. So F stands for first. And what that means is I'm going to take the first term, this should not be that should be down here, from each binomial and multiply them. 2y and 3y are the first terms. O stands for outside. That means take the outside terms. 2y and 5 are the outside terms. I stands for inside. Take the two inside terms. -7 and 3y are the inside terms. And then L stands for last. And I take the last term, so -7 and +5. Okay, so when I FOIL this, I take first, outside, inside, last. So the first terms times each other are 2y times 3y, which gives me 6y squared. Okay? Then I take outside, and I have 2y times 5, and I get positive 10y. Inside, I take -7 times positive 3y, and I get negative 21y. And last is -7 and +5, and I get negative 35. So I've done the multiplying. Now I just have to combine like terms. 6y squared is alone. Plus 10y minus 21y gives me negative 11y minus 35. And that is my product. Go ahead and turn to the next page. Let's try one more together. I forgot to put the end parenthesis on this last example, so go ahead and put that in there. All right, so first would be 4a times 2a, which gives me 8a squared. Outside, remember we're doing FOIL, is 4a times -9, which gives me negative 36a. Inside is negative 10a. And then last is positive 45. Combine like terms, and I get 8a squared minus 46a plus 45. All right, I want you to go ahead and do those next two examples on your own. Pause the video and come back to it when you're ready. First is going to give me x squared. Outside is going to give me minus 4x. Inside is plus 3x. Last is minus 12. Combine like terms, and I get x squared minus 1x minus 12. Number 3, I have first, which is 2y squared. Outside gives me minus 12y, inside gives me minus 5y, and last gives me plus 30. 2y squared minus 17y plus 30. Okay, turn to the next page. So I want you to think back to the term linear expression. And what does that mean? It means that it forms a straight line when it's graphed. But what does it look like? It means that I have x with no exponent. And then you can have plus or minus some number over here. But there is no exponent here. And if you wanted to say, It's either no exponent or an exponent of 1, same thing. What does it mean? It means it graphs a straight line. Now, if I take two linear expressions, so like back here, I have a linear expression and a linear expression, I get something that has a squared. So I get what's called a quadratic. And it means it has an exponent of 2. Now, when I graph a quadratic, I get something called a parabola, and it's going to go like this. We've seen them before. Okay, turn to the next page. So let's talk about this area problem. This is actually real world example 3 on page 449 in your textbooks. And it says, find the area of the entire object. In our textbook, it is a swimming pool. I'm going to just say, we can just do a swimming pool, that's fine. So if I want to find that, I know that this is also plus x, and so is this one. All right, so if I'm finding the total width, I'm going to take 20 plus x plus x. And if I want to find the whole height, I'm going to take that 15 plus x plus x. Because remember, I'm trying to find area, and area is length times width. So I have to find the full length and then the full height. All right, so I have 20 plus 2x, and then 15 plus 2x. Now, I want to find the area, so I'm going to take them times each other. I'm going to say 20 plus 2x times 15 plus 2x. Now, since they are both binomials, you have to put them both in parentheses before you start multiplying. We're just going to use FOIL. So first gives me 300. Outside gives me plus 40x. Inside gives me plus 30x. Last gives me plus 4x squared. So if I combine these, I get 300 plus 70x plus 4x squared. We assume that it has to be written in standard forms. I'm going to rewrite it as 4x squared plus 70x plus 300. And that is the area. Turn to the next page. Now, this is where we're going to stop multiplying binomials, and we're just going to start multiplying polynomials. But we learned that it's just essentially distributing each piece of the binomial to anything else in the other one. So we're going to take 6x, and I'm going to multiply it by every term on the inside of this set of parentheses. Okay? So let's do that first. So I have 6x times 2x squared, and that gives me 12x cubed. And then I have 6x times negative 3x, which gives me negative 18x squared. And then 6x times negative 5 gives me minus 30x. Okay? Then I'm going to take the positive 5 and multiply it by each of these terms as well. So I'm distributing everything from here to everything in here. So I have positive 5 times positive 2x squared, which gives me 10x squared. Positive 5 times negative 3x gives me minus 15x. And then positive 5 times negative 5 gives me negative 25. So I've distributed both pieces from this binomial to all three pieces of this trinomial. Now I have to just combine like terms. So I'm going to say that 12x squared, or x cubed, there's no other x cubes, so it stays the same. Then I'm going to take the negative 18x squared and the positive 10x squared and combine them, and I get negative 8x squared. Then I have negative 30x and negative 15x, combine them. I have negative 30x minus 15x gives me negative 45x. And then the last term is minus 25, and it's by itself. So I've combined like terms, it's in standard form, and that's my answer. Turn to the next page. All right, same thing here, only there's 3 terms. You still take each of the 3 pieces and distribute it to each of these pieces. So I'm going to take 2y squared and give it to each piece. Okay, so 2y squared times 3y squared gives me 6y to the 4th power. 2y squared times negative 5y gives me minus 10y cubed. 2y squared plus or times positive 2 gives me positive 4y squared. Then I take the 3y, give it to each piece. Okay, 3y times 3y squared gives me positive 9y cubed. 3y times negative 5y gives me minus 15y squared. 3y times positive 2 gives me positive 6y. And then I take that negative 1 and give it to each piece as well. Negative 1 times 3y squared gives me minus 3y squared. Negative 1 times negative 5y gives me positive 5y. Negative 1 times positive 2 gives me negative 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms. 6y to the 4th power is by itself, so it stays alone. So I have 6y to the 4th power. I have minus 10y cubed, positive 9y cubed, and that's it. So I combine those. I have negative 1y cubed. Then I have 4y squared, negative 15y squared, and negative 3y squared. So positive 4 minus 15 gives me negative 11, minus 3 gives me negative 14. So minus 14y squared. And then I have 6y and positive 5y, and I get positive 11y. And then the negative 2 is by itself, so minus 2. So this one has more steps because there are more terms being multiplied. So, and my answer will be a little bit bigger, but it is in standard form because it goes 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And then it's in simplest terms because there are no like terms to be combined. All right, I want you to turn to the next page. I want you to do examples 3 and 4. They are just like the ones we did before. Pause the video and come back when you're ready to compare your answers. I'm going to take this and I'm going to say 3x times each term. So I get 6x cubed plus 21x squared minus 24x. Then I have negative 5 times each term. Gives me minus 10x squared minus 35x plus 40. Combine like terms, the 6x cubed by itself, plus 21x squared minus 10x squared gives me plus 11x squared. Minus 24x minus 35x gives me minus 59x. And then the 40 is by itself, plus 40. Okay, turn to the next page. Same thing here. Take m squared times each of the terms in the other trinomial. I get 4m to the 4th power minus 7m cubed plus 5m squared. 2m times each of the terms. Okay, plus 8m cubed minus 14m squared plus 10m. Then I take that negative 3, multiply by each term. I get negative 12m squared. I'm going to have to come down here, I'm out of room. Plus 21m minus 15. Let's go ahead and combine like terms. I get 4m to the 4th. And I'm going to cross these off so that I remember which ones I've dealt with. Minus 7m cubed plus 8m cubed gives me plus 1m cubed. Plus 5m squared minus 14m squared gives me minus 9m squared. Minus another 12m squared gives me negative 21m squared. Plus 10m plus 21m gives me plus 31m, and then minus 15. Okay? These ones can get a little bit big, and it's hard to keep track of your like terms, so go ahead and cross them off once you've dealt with them. That's the end of our notes. If you have any questions, make sure you let me know and come see me if you need any help with your homework. Take a look at the homework, and I will see you tomorrow.